This shall be called the house of worship. This shall be called the place of praise. This shall be called the place of Bethel, the place where God lives.
Amen, amen. So, as I get started here, dealing with people, y'all. We deal with people on a day-to-day basis. And one thing I know about dealing with people is it's not an easy task, especially when you got to deal with people and you're going through your own things. Sometimes what that tends to do is cause you to become angry because here it is, you're carrying your own stuff, and now people want to act like people, like we tend to do, makes you get a little angry, right? Get a little angry. And then after dealing with your own stuff, being angry, what you really don't want to do is be hungry. Oh, that's a combination right there, because what tends to happen is we get what's called hangry. Anybody been there? Anybody experienced hangryism? Yeah. Well, I found out, y'all, that being hangry is biblical. Get out of here. Get out this church, boy. That ain't biblical. Turn to Mark the 11th chapter. Mark 11. Show y'all. Somebody like this boy talking about hangry is biblical. He don't know what he's talking about. Call himself Pastor Maurice. Let me get another mic, Pastor Dan. Mark the 11th chapter, starting at verse 12. Testing. Amen. 11th chapter. Give me that one back. This one ain't too hot right here. The chapter starting at verse 12. Let me just try to watch that dead spot. 11th chapter, starting at verse 12, it says, and on the morrow, when they were come from Bethany, he was hungry. Talking about Jesus here. And seeing a fig tree afar off having leaves, he came, if haply he might find anything thereon. He was looking for some food on this fig tree. And when he came to it, he found nothing but leaves, for the time of figs was not yet. And Jesus answered and said unto it, no man eat fruit of thee hereafter forever. And his disciples heard. He cursed that fig tree because it ain't had no figs on it. And they come to Jerusalem, and Jesus went into the temple and began to cast them out that sold and brought in the temple, and overthrew the tables of the money changers and seats of them that sold doves. May the Lord add a blessing to the reading and hearing of his words. If y'all don't get that, Jesus was hangry, y'all. It was nothing to eat on that fig tree, so he went into the temple and started throwing tables. Y'all can be seated. Y'all ain't following me. I just want y'all to know that this has nothing to do with my message, but I think it was cool that Jesus was hangry. When I was at work listening to this, I was like, man, Jesus was hangry. I'm not the only one that get hangry. But what I do want to talk to you all about today, that wasn't my message for real, though. I'm done playing with y'all. But I do want to talk to you all about a pitiful place. That's the title of my message, a pitiful place. A pitiful place. And you don't have to stand for another reading of the word. I'm sorry. You don't have to stand. I'm going to be talking a little bit out of the 37th chapter of Genesis, and I'm going to be hopping around, so yeah, you don't have to stand. So a pitiful place, you all. It's a place no one wants to be. It's a place that doesn't feel good. It's a place that's empty, a place that's low. And I'm sure we've all been there. It's a place that no one desires to be. It's a place where when you're in a pitiful place, you desire compassion from people. You desire concern for this pitiful place that you're in. But oftentimes we don't receive that compassion or that concern that we're looking for in this pitiful place the way we think we should receive it. And a lot of times that's because your problem is only as serious as it is to you, because it's your problem. Other people may take your problems serious, but not as serious as they are going to be to you, because you're the one dealing with these problems. So our story takes place in Genesis, primarily the 37th chapter, and I want you to read it when you get home. If you've never read the story of Joseph, it's a very, very good story. There's so many messages in this story. It's a rich story. You should read it when you get home. So I'm going to give you a little background of Joseph, because I'm not going to read through all those scriptures. So we have Joseph, and he had a mother, you all, and his mother name was Rachel, who was one of the wives married to Jacob. But the thing about Rachel, y'all, Rachel was barren. Rachel couldn't have kids. Then God blessed Rachel, and guess what? She had 2 kids. First she had Joseph, and then she had little Benjamin. So Jacob, being her husband, knowing that my wife can't have kids, knowing that God blessed her and she had Joseph, he knew Joseph was special. He considered Joseph special. He considered him a miracle. While Rachel was having Ben, she died in the process of having Ben. So Joseph, being this miracle baby, he got special privileges. He was treated better than all of his brothers by his pops, Jacob. He never had to do any other work outside. He never had his hands dirty or anything like that. As a matter of fact, Jacob loved Joseph so much, he even gave him a special coat that he made, and he took his time, and he was prideful when he gave it to him. That's my boy. Put this on. Step back, let me see it on you. Yeah. Reuben, come look at your brother. It was all about Joseph. Yeah. So he didn't have to do physical work, y'all. And as he grew older, God began to give him dreams. And I'm sure Joseph had lots of dreams, and some of those dreams were small dreams, and I'm sure Jacob probably saw some of those dreams come to pass, which caused him to scratch his head like, man, this dude really is a miracle. But that last dream that Joseph told Jacob about, it was involved his brothers carrying heaves or stacks of hay, and they laid their hay facing him, and he stood on top of his hay, and they all bowed to him. And then he told him that he had another dream where the moon and the stars were bowing to him. So here it is, Joseph not understanding what's going on. He's just having these dreams. I'm sure he probably felt a little big-headed from his special treatment and everything. He probably picked on his brother's eye. That's why you got to go in and clean the dirt and things like that. So what began to happen was his brothers began to resent him. They began to dislike him. They began to not care for him because they didn't like that he was getting special treatment when they felt Reuben should have been getting the special treatment since he was the firstborn. But no, Joseph was. So Joseph's father Jacob said one day, go check on the fellas. Make sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. So Joseph went looking for him. He couldn't find them, and somebody told him they was in Dothan. So he went to check on them, per what his pop said. And the brothers saw him coming. They saw him coming down the mist, and they're like, here he come. Here come old high and mighty. All hail King Joseph, you know. He come walking up smiling. So they made a plot to kill him before he got to him. Like, I'm tired of this guy, man. He think he better than us. He ain't better than us. Reuben, they trying to get Reuben stirred up. Reuben, you the firstborn, man. You're supposed to be getting the special treatment. Reuben didn't think so. Reuben understood there was something special about him. But did he like being mistreated? Nah, he didn't. So they plotted to kill him, and Reuben said, no, we're not going to kill him, y'all. But we could put him inside of a pit. But no murder. We could put him in a pit. So they put Joseph in this pit. And I'm sure Joseph was just scared. Can you imagine coming to see your brothers and they grab you and throw you in the pit? He probably thought they was playing and everything, but then they left him in there. So they go away and they're eating and they see some merchants coming, traveling through the land, and they decided instead of killing him, let's sell him for 20 pieces of silver. So they sold Joseph. And here it is. They sold Joseph to the merchants. Then the merchants took Joseph and sold him to Egypt. They sold him to Potiphar. He was an officer of Pharaoh. Potiphar was a captain of the guard. So that's what took place in the past, and it brings us up unto this pitiful place. Here we have young Joseph being mistreated, and it's not fair because Joseph had special privileges, and it wasn't his fault. He didn't ask to have these dreams. He didn't ask to have these visions. He didn't ask to have these special powers, if you want to call them. They were given to him. He was being treated special by his dad because of what God did. But he was being mistreated due to these dreams given to him by God. I believe he wanted to work those fields. I believe he wanted to be normal just like the other bros. Be cool, go play with some girls and go play in the mud and do all the things he saw his brothers doing that his dad would not let him do. All Joseph got to do was unwrap those scrolls and read them and study. Come on, somebody. These were things that was out of Joseph's control to a degree. Jacob kept him separated, y'all. He consecrated Joseph for God's use. And sometimes what I found out is other folk will see God's purpose in our lives more than we do. Yeah, you see, Jacob realized that it was something special about this boy. Although Joseph didn't understand it, and he may not have even seen it because he wanted to just be a normal boy, but Jacob saw that it was something special. He saw the oil on this boy's life, and there's people that sees the oil on your life more than you do. Come on, somebody. It's nothing wrong with that. That calling, and many of you got callings that you're sitting on, if we just be honest. Many of you were called to teach, evangelize, preach. Many of you were called to do many different things, but you're sitting on that calling. Joseph had a calling, but the thing about that calling, you all, that calling may land you in a pit. It may land you in an empty place. It may land you in a dark place, a lonely place, a low place. Some of us here are in this place, in this pit, this pitiful place, just like Joseph was. Can you imagine that? He went from being spoiled work-wise. His daddy praised him all the time. He enlightened him, lifted him up, encouraged him. And now he's in this low, dark place, this pitiful place. In the midst of all those dreams and visions he's had, some of them coming to pass, all the ideas and the signs, and all Joseph was trying to do was work the plans and that Jacob prophesied to him about and told him how God was going to use him. And he finds himself in this pitiful place, this low place, this pit of darkness. What have I done wrong? This pit was so deep it wasn't possible for a man to, especially a man that wasn't used to having his hands dirty, to get out of it. Joseph didn't know about digging. So he's in this pit, y'all. And all of a sudden, a rope is tossed down. I'm sure he probably got excited like, my brothers, they came back for me. Climbed up out of there, probably saw his brother standing over here, ran to him like, y'all play too much. I'm telling Daddy when we get home, y'all play too much. I thought y'all was going to leave me in there. Yeah, y'all crazy. Then he looked over and saw some other guys, like, who are they, Reuben? And the brother's just sitting there quietly. And then those merchants grab him. While they grab him and start tying him up, he's screaming like, what are you doing? Yelling for his brothers, Reuben, Simeon, what's going on? And they wrapping him up and they taking him, and his brothers just sitting there with their heads down. Oh, I can only imagine what Joseph was feeling. Climbing out thinking he was saved, but that wasn't it. So you're in a dark place in your life, and when someone finally extends help after you've been here so long, they give you hope by extending a hand to you or by extending a rope down to you. They throw you a rope just to get you out and use you for their gain. His brothers sold him to the Egyptians because they was jealous. I can imagine the look of betrayal, the looks of confusion, the hurt Joseph, the anger Joseph must have felt as he cried for them. Reuben, don't let them take me. Reuben, Simeon, somebody, my brothers. But nobody helped him. Can you imagine calling for help from the one that you trust, the one that you love, the one that you've grown up with, and they turn their back on you? That's a rough thing to have to endure. Come on, somebody. So Joseph was trying to focus, y'all. He was trying to focus on what Jacob was saying about him being used by God. But it's hard to get to the place of purpose when you got folk digging pits. When you got folk digging pits for you to fall in, when you got folk trying to hold you back, when you got folk trying to hold you down. Some of you are attached to some folk who are smiling in your presence but digging pits behind the scene. They not happy to see you succeed. They not looking for you to get ahead. They digging some secret pits and putting some artificial grass over it so you won't know it's there. You better start walking around with a flashlight. Come on, somebody. Come on, somebody. The pit, y'all, it's an empty place, a dry, cold place, kind of like the wilderness. Anybody remember the wilderness? The wilderness where the children of Israel were wandering in was a place that was in the daytime, it was extremely hot, unbearable heat. And at nighttime, it got so cold because it was in the desert. It doesn't matter where you are at in life. God said he will never leave you nor forsake you. Even while they were in the wilderness, at night, God became a pillar of fire by night. He became fire for them to keep them warm. And in the daytime, he became a cloud by day because he had to keep them shaded so their skin wouldn't burn off from the heat. Come on, somebody. Tell somebody God sees you and he ain't forgot about you. Yeah. You see, they put that pit there, y'all. They put that pit around you that'll hold you and to stop you. But the enemy's plan for that pit was to kill you. Oh, I don't think you know it. The enemy planned to kill you by giving them the idea to make a pit. His plan was to abort you. He don't want you to be here. He don't want you to reach nobody. He don't want you to help nobody. Some of you have been in pitiful situations where you know you should be dead, but as long as God has his hand on your life, as long as God has this hedge around you, long as God is holding you up, the enemy can't do nothing but deal with it. Tell somebody God aborted the abortion. Come on, somebody. The devil's plan to abort you, God aborted it. I come to tell somebody today that you may be in a pit in your situation, y'all. It may look pitiful, but God told me to tell you on today in your pitiful situation that the pit is full. Yeah, although you can't see it and it appears empty, the pit is full. What in tarnation are you talking about, Pastor Maurice? Well, if you give me a minute, I'm going to tell you. So here it is. You're wondering what I'm talking about because some of you are in a depressed state. You're sad and you're angry, going through abusive relationships, struggling with these addictions that you just can't seem to shake. You lost your job, feeling like you lost everything. You're in a pit that feels empty as ever. And here it is. Pastor Maurice is up here talking about the pit is full. What are you talking about? The well has run dry. I ain't got no money or nothing. And you sitting up here saying the pit is full. Well, let me explain if you don't mind. You see, the Bible told me that you don't put new wine in old wineskins unless they burst. And the Bible also said, if any man be in Christ, he is a new creature. Old things are passed away. Behold, all things are become new. You see, God needed to empty you out in order to fill you up. He had to dig deep. Come on, somebody. Y'all don't hear me. He had to dig deep and put you low in order to lift you up. He can't fill you up with things needed if you're already full. Come on, somebody. I can't pour myself a nice glass of lemonade if my glass is already full with some Pepsi. I have to empty the Pepsi in order to put the lemonade in. God has to empty us first. He has to get us to an empty place, a pitiful place. You see, if you're not full of him, there is a lot of other things contrary to him that you will be full of. So he has to empty you out of all that junk. He has to empty you out of all that hurt. He has to empty you out of all that abuse, all that low self-esteem, all those childhood scars, all that bitterness, all that unforgiveness, all that hatred. Come on, somebody. He has to empty you till you feel you've got nothing left but to try him. Come on, somebody. So sometimes, y'all, this emptying process, y'all, it requires putting you on your back in order to get you to look up. Come on, somebody. Oh, where God is trying to take you and what God is trying to do through you is something great. But I can't tell you what it is. All I know is that it's something really, really great. And it's something really, really huge. And the reason I know this is because the Bible says, I have not seen nor ear heard the great things in store. Come on, somebody. And so some of you have been holding on to some promises. And I want to encourage you not to give up on God. You are closer than you think. But the thing about it is, you have to go through your pitiful process. Oh yeah, you got to go through your pitiful process. You can't go around it. You can't go over it. And you can't go under it. Oh, you got to come through the door. Come on, somebody. Come on, somebody. There's two things, y'all, that we love to hear, and that is the blessings of God and the fulfillment of the blessing. Am I in the house? We love to hear about the blessings of God, what God's going to do. And the other part about it is when God actually do it. But in between, y'all, there's a thing called a process that nobody wants to go through, that nobody wants to talk about. The process doesn't feel good, but I want to encourage you and let you know it's working together for your good. You have to go through the process. Jesus went through a process. He didn't want to go through it, but he knew he had to go through it. Christ's whole time being on earth, y'all, he had an appetite and a thirst to do God's will. He drank the wrath of sin and ate the sting of death. The more persecution he suffered for doing right, the emptier his cup he got. The more folk talked about him, the emptier his cup got. The more folk who had his back and left him, emptier his cup got. The more you stand for righteousness, the more you're going to find yourself walking alone. The more you fill up on his word, the emptier and lonelier at times you may feel. Sometimes it's going to look like the devil is running up the front and down the back of you. Or sometimes it's going to feel the same way. Look like things ain't thinking about it. Those that ain't thinking about God are getting ahead, and it's like you going backwards. Anybody been there before? Well, I got a word for you. While you're counting everything that's going wrong in your life and everything that you done lost and counting everything that you lost, the Holy Ghost said count again. But this time count it all joy when you fall into various temptations, knowing that the trying of your faith worketh patience. Come on, somebody. The pit, y'all, the pit. Come on, man. You ain't got to follow me, man. I know I'm all over the place. Come on, somebody. So the pit, y'all, the pit ain't your final destination. Nah. The pit ain't your final destination. You're in there for a season. You're in there to be processed. It's the birthing ground for getting you to what's called purpose. And I declare to you, everybody in here has a purpose. Oh, everybody has a purpose. You may not believe it because of the lies the devil told you, but I want to tell you, you have purpose. You see, Joseph became great, y'all, and he was given more power than Potiphar. He was put over everything and everyone except for Pharaoh. He was able to forgive his brothers. He was able to give them a place to eat and a place to live during a time of famine. Joseph had to go through the pit in order to get to the palace. Somebody say, from the pit to the palace. Come on, somebody, stay down in that pit and go through your process, because the pit is going to take you to the palace. Come on, somebody. So in between the pit and the palace is what's called the process. Many of you here are going through a process, and it don't feel good. You don't understand it. Come on, somebody. Folk may do you wrong. Remember all the things. Woo, getting tongue-tied here. Let me slow down here. Take my time. She just told me to take my time, so we're going to be here for 2 more hours. So in between the pit, I'm just saying. But no, folk may do you wrong, but remember, y'all, all things work together for the good to those who are called according to his purpose. God will take what the enemy meant for bad and use it for your good. The enemy wanted to kill Joseph in that pit, but God took it away and used it to get him to the palace, y'all. I've been in a pitiful place, y'all. That's the title of this message, a pitiful place. And I didn't want to be there. And if it was up to me, I wouldn't have gone through what I've had to endure in my pitiful places, in my pitiful experiences. But I thank God that he gave me the strength to endure it, that he gave me the power to stand through it all, that he gave me the power not to give up. Anybody feel like you're in a pit right now? If you're in that place right now, you got to go through your process. And sometimes all you need is a little help pushing you through that process. But if we don't talk to one another, if we don't express what we're going through, I can't help push you if I think everything is all put together. It's time for some of you to move from pit to purpose. Come on, somebody. Anybody want to move from pit to purpose? I've been in a pitiful place too long, and I'm tired of it. The devil ain't won nothing. You got to go through your process. And the thing about the process, y'all, everybody's process is different. I can't tell you exactly how you're going to get through what you're going through, but I can tell you with God, you will get through it. Oh, that's what I can tell you for sure. I can tell you that from experience. You're going to get through it, but allow God to process you. And while you're going through this process, you got to use the tools. Because what's happening here, y'all, is, and I started to bring my balloon, Sister Lindsay. I started to, but I forgot it. What's happening, y'all, is, as I said earlier, the devil is filling us up with life, filling us up with air, filling us up with things. And the more he fills us up and pushes against our emotions and makes us feel overwhelmed and tired from all the stuff that we got to deal with, our balloons, everybody got a balloon. Our balloon is getting full, and it's getting tighter and tighter and tighter. And that balloon can only hold so much air, and eventually what's going to happen to that balloon? That balloon is going to pop. Everybody's balloon pops in different ways, Pastor Golden. Some people's balloon pop and they start beating up on their significant other. Some people's balloon pop and they try to commit suicide. Some people just go get high and just try to overdose on drugs. Some people go shoot up a school, kill their family. Everybody's balloon pops in different ways. The goal of the enemy is for your balloon to pop and something to happen to your life that's so detrimental that you can't come back from it. His plan is to steal, kill, and destroy you. So if he can get you to pop by killing somebody, you're going to either spend the rest of your life in jail or they're going to kill you. Electric chair or something. That's the plan. But it goes deeper than that. Because you probably had kids and you're no longer there to raise them, so society begins to raise those children, and so when society gets a hold of these children, we see what's being done to them. So he's winning, taking out our families through us. Don't pop. You got to let some of that air out. I told you I got 2 people that I talk to. Well, really 3, my wife. But some things, you just need that guy to talk about, you know, my boy, my brother. But it's important. I had to learn that the hard way, that you got to release. You got to find somebody and you got to let the air out of that balloon. You got to let the air out of that balloon. I kept the air in my balloon for a long time, and my wife was worried about me because I wasn't talking a lot. And she said, who do you talk to? We was having some problems, and I just figured if we don't talk about it, it'll fix itself. And she said, who do you talk to? You don't have anybody that you talk to? And I didn't. I felt my problems were my problems, and everybody has their own problems, and I feel like God is going to bring me through my problems. So here it is. The one thing you don't like is when you're sharing your problems with somebody, and they start telling you about theirs. I never wanted to be that person. I kept things, and I internalized so much to the point where I've shared multiple times. I was in the car screaming at the top of my lungs. I yanked the steering wheel, and I bit down on it. I was about to pop, y'all. The devil was trying to cause me to lose my mind, and I'm sure I'm not the only one that's been in that place. Pitiful place. That was a pitiful place, but I made it through it. And had I not, I wouldn't be standing here before you today. If you're here today and you feel you're in a pitiful place, an empty place, a lonely place, a dark place, a fearful place, I just want to pray with you. We got some ministers up here that want to embrace you and let you know you have support. We are a body. We are a team. We're in this together. As you go through that process, sometimes it's hard to push against all that the devil is attacking you with. and you're trying to get your feet set to push up against it, but you find yourself going backwards and not forwards. More bills are landing on you. The kids are acting even more wild. Then you get an eviction notice. They're threatening to repo your car, but you're pushing with all you got, but you've internalized it all. And if you would just open your mouth, somebody can get behind you and add some support and help push you forward and help you overcome all that you're dealing with. You got help. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You got help getting out of that pitiful place, and you're going to make it. If you're here today and you desire prayer because you're in a pitiful place, you're in a low place, I want you to make your way down to this altar. Don't be ashamed. Just get up from where you are and make your way down here.
Place where God lives. This shall be called the house of worship. This shall be called the place of praise. This shall be called the place of